Brian Cologne will make a great auditor.
Brian grew up pretty poor, so as auditor, protecting our tax dollars will be important to him.
Brian is the only candidate with a background in finance and law.
So he has what it takes to fight waste, fraud, and abuse as auditor.
Brian invests in New Mexico by mentoring hundreds of young people.
Brian will invest in education and expand opportunities for future generations.
So how do we know, as auditor, Brian Cologne will invest in New Mexico? Because he's invested in all of us. Thanks, Brian!
Brian Cologne, Democrat for auditor.
Filling Phillies. It's the best in town. It's Filling Phillies. We use quality meats and fresh Almarosa rolls directly from Philly, where every sandwich is a work of art. You can order online or dine in. Come visit us today at all 3 locations, Uptown, the West Side, or our brand new location in downtown Albuquerque on 301 Central.
Gary Johnson has a record of independence and success. In his 8 years as New Mexico governor, our state flourished. Now politicians of both parties in D.C. are spending us into bankruptcy. As a successful businessman and governor, Gary Johnson knows how to create jobs and keep government under control. Gary Johnson's only loyalty is to you. Send a historic message to Washington by voting for an independent voice. Vote for Gary Johnson for U.S. Senate.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
Dreamstyle Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dreamstyle Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dreamstyle Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club or dreamstyleremodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
The service department at Gala Chevrolet is clean, modern, and ready for you. Our master technicians service every make and model, including certified service on any GM vehicle. Service done right the first time, every time, right here at the all-new Gala Chevrolet.
The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
Gary Johnson has a record of independence and success. In his 8 years as New Mexico governor, our state flourished, and he left with a surplus. Gary Johnson did exactly what he promised: cut taxes, reduced the size of state government, and held legislature responsible for reckless spending. Now, politicians of both parties in D.C. are spending us into bankruptcy. They can't stop their addiction to spending, and they don't know how to create jobs. As a successful businessman and governor, Gary Johnson knows how to create jobs and keep government under control. You won't have to ask where Gary Johnson's loyalties lie. It won't be to a party. It won't be to the D.C. Swamp. Gary Johnson's only loyalty is to you. His only goal is to help New Mexico. Send a historic message to Washington by voting for an independent voice. Vote for Gary Johnson for U.S. Senate. Protect Freedom PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
High school sports are back. The 2018-19 season kicks off, and you could watch every Proview Network broadcast live on the NFHS network. Every moment, from every game, from every sport, including all NMAA state championships. Get your highly discounted monthly pass now. Go to ProviewNetworks.com and sign up. Watch New Mexico's best.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a #1. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili, breakfast burritos, and front.
Welcome everybody here to the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Coletti. We're joined by Ed Nunez as always, Alden Iowani, our fine director, the whole crew, Josh Brown, Jason Poole, also joined by Steve Davis. And we're going to be talking a lot of sports here today. Playoffs already upon us for soccer and the final week for both volleyball and for football. We'll get you caught up to date. And first off, we'll bring up Steve, and we'll bring you in, Steve. And you know, it's hard to believe that we're already at the end of the football season, final week.
That's what I was just going to say. It's, you know, here we go. Three months ago, we're sitting there going, couldn't wait for it, excited to be here and get it going. And then next thing you know, it's here, and it's just, you know, what's going to happen. It seemed like Cleveland was going to be the clear favorite. You know, everybody's talking about Cleveland. They have an injury. Now that opens up, you know, there's new life for the top 8 seeds in the state, and we got to watch out for Manzano, and we got to watch is, you know, the Smith going to come back from Melrose. There's a lot of things happening this last week. So
yeah, the question is, Gabe Smith going to come back, and Dorian Lewis? Have we even heard if he's on the shelf or if he's coming back? Have they even announced anything?
He's gone.
He's gone. Okay. So I didn't know if that was announced yet, because I know they're very close to the vest. But your thoughts on what's going on, Ed?
Well, Dorian Lewis's uncle last week sent me a text before the game. He said, let Adam and the crew know that Dorian's at 1,531 yards before the game. So I texted Adam, and then that injury occurred. And I texted him, and he texted me back, said at first it was a helmet to the shin. Then he texted me back about a half hour later, said it's a little worse than we thought. And so I interviewed him, you know, earlier in the year, and he's a great kid. And I think that took the collective gasp out of the Storm fans. But they still have, you know, they still have weapons, right? They still have weapons. That is a team, the coach right now, I respect and admire so much. I really do. But when you lose a kid like that, obviously, you don't have to go back into your offensive bag of tricks. And don't think that Heath Ridenour doesn't have them, because he does.
Here's the thing. I heard you on the radio last week, Steve, on ESPN Radio 101.7 with Fred and Marty, and was kind of intrigued.
You don't have a life, huh?
I was on the way to do our show, actually, which we have to have you on one of these days, but you know, with James Yotis. But I'm listening to you on the show, and you're talking about what happened with Dorian Lewis, and it made me think, because you know, you've seen a lot of football, and you were under the belief that it kind of brings Cleveland back down to the level. I agree with what Ed says. They have a lot of weapons, but Dorian Lewis was the most special player in the state, very much like Jordan Bird was last year.
Well, what it does is basically it gives the other teams hope that, you know, I agree 100% with that you know, Coach Reiner, he's one of the top coaches. And you know, you think about this, Darren Lewis wasn't going to be here this year until the beginning of the year, and they have other players that are, you know, it's kind of the next player up that have been waiting for their opportunity, and Reiner has a program that's very, his JV and his C team, and they're very deep. And with this, you know, as great as Darren Lewis is, that line of Cleveland may be one of the top lines, and so you know.
And it has been for how many years now? We've been talking about their line for what, about 4 or 5 years now?
I agree with that. I really believe.
Where do they find these guys? Because they just keep reloading linemen.
Yeah, no question about it. But I'll go back to, you know, Steve knows what he's talking about as far as the lines there, and also I'll say the skill players. But just let's give you an example. Las Lunas loses Nick Garland. So Jeremy Maupin, we had the game on Friday, myself and Roger Holian. And Jeremy Maupin has all these different sets and things that he's, you know, in other words, play to the strength of the team, of the quarterback. Cade Benavidez is not Nick Garland. We know that. But Jeremy Maupin is such a great coach that, again, he's got a great front seven on defense, too. But it wasn't a total loss when they lost Garland. They barely lost to Roswell Goddard in overtime. And I talked to Goddard head coach Chris White, and he said that Las Lunas is still a formidable team without Garland. So, yes, when you lose a guy that rushed for 1,531 yards, countless touchdowns, of course you're going to miss him. There's no question. They've still got Colton Madison. They've got Trey Watson. They've got a great line. They've got the quarterback, Davison. So I wouldn't count them totally out. And, you know, the other teams around the state are probably thinking, hey, Coach Ridenour, you know, he knows how to scheme, he knows how to game plan. So don't think right away that Cleveland's going to fall below where their normal standard of play is, although a kid like Lewis, you can play action with, you can do so many things. Of course you're going to miss him.
Let's take a look at last week's results, and there were some interesting games, and we'll talk a little bit about the game that the team that you brought up in their game, Goddard. But Cleveland, big win. They lost their star player, though. Manzano, a win over El Dorado. Very interesting game. West Las Vegas back on the winning track, 42-0. You have Albuquerque High over Shiprock. Cibola, a big win over Atrisco. Piedra Vista continues to be hot, 41-7. You got La Cueva over Sandia. Las Lunas over Valley.
You know, all those Piedra Vista, keep an eye on them. I think they lost to Kirtland Central in a game 7-6. They probably shouldn't have lost, but my understanding was there were some players out for that game. Since then, I think the only team they've lost to is Roswell. So they've been on a roll pretty much since then. We did have Las Lunas against Valley. I thought Valley would give a little bit more in that game, but I swear, again, Jeremy Maupin, the Las Lunas coach, shut 6 sacks on the game for the Las Lunas defense. And Valley has offensive weapons. They do. They just couldn't convert. And again, it was a lot to do with that front seven of Las Lunas.
Well, I think I'm going to ask both you guys, what happened to El Dorado? I mean, I'm looking. You know, they go to Clovis and get manhandled. I mean, from my Clovis Wildcats, and then that score is deceptive. That Manzano score is deceptive. You know, there was a lot of second teams being played by Manzano, and great job, you know, that he did with letting his other players instead of running that score up.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You know, I guess the question I'm asking both of you is Smith the answer? I mean, or is this team, you know, they got to win against Sandia this week, or they're not going to make it?
When you look at Gabe Smith, what I've seen, the way he ran, the way he passed, I mean, basically he was 90% of their offense. And when I first saw them earlier in the year, I didn't realize that's how much of the offense he was. You take him away, yeah, they almost beat La Cueva that one game, but now teams have tape. They can game plan, and they've basically shut down the offense. I think it's been scouting more than anything else.
Well, Charlie Dawson made a great point, is they haven't beat anybody with a winning record.
Right. That too.
I mean,
yeah.
You know, here's a team that's, think about it, was a number 4 this 2 weeks ago, and now they're not going to make, they're on the bubble of making.
And even if they win, Steve, they're not guaranteed.
That's
the thing. They have to win just to have a chance. That's what's weird, that El Dorado could miss the playoffs.
We said this earlier, that at one point, they were going to miss the playmaking of a Gabe Smith, who, remember, earlier in the year, first game against Las Cruces, accounts for 5 touchdowns, 5 passing, 4 running, or 4 passing, 5 running. I don't remember.
One of the greatest single.
Right. One of the greatest performances we've seen, and we've seen a lot of great players. So, you know, Charlie Dotson, El Dorado head coach, kept it together for a while. They did great, and then all of a sudden, like Steve said, these last 2 games, and Steve's absolutely right, that is a misleading score, and give Manzano credit because they played very well the second half of the year, only losing to La Cueva. Maybe they should have won that game.
They've done it with defense.
Maybe she did right.
Their defense has really clamped down since I saw them play against Volcano Vista, and they had a good defensive plan in that game, and they should have won that game.
Philip Martinez has done an excellent job. You know, he really has. So I think, you know, Roger Holian and I will have the game this Friday, and I'm looking forward to that, El Dorado, because again, win or go home, and there's so much riding. And you mentioned it as well, Scott. Even if they do win, there's no guarantee.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting game to see on Friday for both of us. Let's take a look now at the other games last Friday, as you got. How about that, Steve? Big win for Volcano Vista, getting that monkey off the back, winning at Rio Rancho. That was a great game.
Well, it was probably one of the best games this year, and Volcano Vista proving themselves. I mean, and I'm kind of cheating and looking at your cheat sheet. It's one of the, you know, they may get a bye. They win this weekend. They may get a bye. It looks like they'll be in the top 4 for the rest of the year, unless, you know, and possibly they could, you know, Rio Rancho could upset Cleveland, which, you know, we hadn't talked much about. You know, Rio Rancho's in Manzano the last 3 weeks. They're as good as any teams right now.
Right. Shout out to the crew, by the way. That final field goal that was missed, they got a good replay of it, just barely missed to the left side, and it was that kind of game.
Wide right. You know, I saw it. I came home from my game at Milne Stadium, and I turned it on, and the crew did do a great job. They ran that replay. I thought at first when I saw it that it went in, and then you could tell when the replay came up that it was wide right.
Belém with a close win over Valencia. Valencia, perhaps the most improved team in the division, let alone the state.
Well, there's a Coach of the Year. Wes Shank should certainly be considered for it at Valencia.
How about that game? And I happened to watch the end of this game again because it was an intriguing game. Goddard Artesia. I saw the final quarter. Have you guys seen Goddard in person? Either one of you, or have you seen them?
No, that's, you know, I think there's 2 teams I haven't really seen. That's Goddard and also Hobbs. Okay?
Well, I saw it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
But anyway,
I was going to say Goddard, they run kind of a wing offense, and all their guys are huge. They have a huge line that was pushing Artesia just out of the way, and their running back, their quarterback, was just running over people. I have not seen a complete offense that big. I was impressed at the beginning of the year with the Belém line, how big their guys were. I think that Goddard's line dwarfs Belém's.
Well, go ahead, Steve.
Well, here's what's interesting. 1, 2, and 3 is going to be Goddard, Artesia, and Roswell in whatever order.
Right.
All in the same district. I mean, that's pretty interesting, and it just shows you how tough that little area is.
Final games from last week, as you got Capital by 7 over Los Alamos. Then you mentioned Roswell, big win over Alamogordo. Adam Dio playing a wall there, so you know he played good defense, huh?
No, he didn't. He left it wide open. I mean, he couldn't maintain.
I tried to get you a compliment, Adam. I'm sorry. We tried to get you a compliment, but hey, he's the boss. He shot us down. So Las Cruces over Carlsbad. And how about Las Cruces on the rise and Carlsbad on the fall?
You know, we always whoever second guessed, you know, Las Cruces, Mayfield, and
Mayfield, another one beating Hobbs soundly
in the South. Okay, I mean, you got legends there, you got tradition there, and it's showing up in the last week of the year.
While we have you here, Steve, we're going to go to the polls. We're going to go ahead and do the coaches' polls, since you kind of alluded to them on who is where, especially in 5A. So we'll go to 3A here. Hope soundly at 9-0. This week we got, since it's the final week and the final poll, put the records up there so all you guys could see it. You got Hope undefeated. Dexter and Robertson both 7-2. Everyone else kind of duking it out. You got Socorro at 8-1, but no one knows much about them.
No, they don't. But with an 8-1 record, they may start finding out soon enough.
I think this Hope's team, Hope's division to win. I mean, you look at the score. I think barring injuries and grades and also sickness over the next 3 or 4 weeks, I think this is the team that's going to be destined to win that blue trophy.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's go to 4A. You got St. Pius all the way at the top now, 6-3, but part of the 6 is what we're talking about. That big win over number 2 Taos a couple of weeks ago. They were undefeated at the time, but a school that Steve mentioned that is very dangerous right now. A couple of them actually, Portales and Kirtland Central.
Well, I was going to defer to Ed on this because he follows St. Pius and he follows this district very closely. So I would like to hear what he has to say about it.
Well, you know what, I think one of the things that surprised me about St. Pius, I had them against Kirtland Central about a month and a half ago, and I wasn't really that overly impressed. But I was impressed when they beat Taos 27-0 about a week ago. And you know, the Sartans have been playing some great football. They beat Espanola Valley in that game where nobody was at. You know, the fans weren't there this weekend, and they took care of business. Although I talked to a person that was there, and they said Pius really didn't play that well. They played down to Espanola Valley's a team. So, but right now Pius is playing very well.
Let's go to 5A now in the coaches poll. It's the NMOT coaches poll now. We left this SC in there. My apologies. Goddard 8-0-1. Artesia 5-4 at number 2. Las Lunas 7-2 at number 3. You got Roswell 6-2 at number 4 after losing a game that they didn't play, so that's why they're only 6-2. And then you got Piedra Vista at 6-3. I'll tell you what, I had no idea that Goddard was this good. In fact, I looked to see, well, I looked at the scores and saw, wow, that's a close game. Man, Goddard must be better than I thought, because I thought Artesia was going to beat them by about 10 points, 14 points. Goddard was dominant in this game. And I was told that from people that saw this game that it could have been a bigger win than it was.
I've had a chance to talk to, and we'll get back to this after the break. I'll wait till after the break. I want to share my thoughts about Roswell Goddard.
Want to stay one more time, Steve?
Well, no, I got some things to do. What I want everybody to realize is that are we going to go 6A?
We can do 6A real quick.
Yeah, we'll do 6A real quick so we can finish up with Steve, because I know Steve wanted to talk about 6A. Cleveland, La Cueva, Centennial still undefeated. Volcano and Mayfield. Mayfield on the rise. Manzano, Las Cruces on the rise at 5-4.
Well, I kind of hit on it before. Is Las Cruces, that district, have the teams that are in the top 10. They've been going in and out all year long, and here's Mayfield and Las Cruces moving up in the rankings. But the point here is, look at that, 3 undefeated teams.
Yeah.
How neat is that?
It's really cool, actually.
It's
and 2 from the north.
Right, and you got Volcano Vista and Manzano, Mayfield, and they're all on highs. Hobbs maybe have a little bit of a letdown. Clovis, a team that had a chance and opportunity to beat La Cueva this weekend. Big game for them. See if they can upset and mess this whole bracket thing up. If Cleveland gets beat by Rio Rancho, it's going to be a very interesting and intriguing weekend.
Absolutely. Well, Steve, before we let you go, I know you wanted to say something.
Well, hey, Selection Sitting Show, guys, Saturday night. Get with Adam. Let's get it together and let's make it better than it's ever been.
He's Steve Davis. He's the boss here at Proview Networks, and we will take a break here as this is the Sports Desk. Time now for the top 10 plays of the week, brought to you by Dreamstyle.
Benavides in the shotgun. Option pass, touchdown.
Go back set. Come on, man, this beat is crazy. Looking that way, he's looking for the deepest option. And Thomas, he makes the catch. The one man misses, and Chris is in for the score. It was an all or nothing play there.
Well, those of you watching on Comcast 26 here in Albuquerque, we hope you've enjoyed this one tonight. As they're diving for the pylon is the Quick pass goes out to O'Toole. He gets loose. Look out. There he goes. 10-5 touchdown. La Cueva Bears.
And Powell's going to throw, and this time Blankenship makes up for it. He makes a nice move. Jack Blankenship down the sideline. Look out. He could take it all the way. Touchdown. How about the move and the getaway?
It'd be 109, so you'd have that 1 second. That's why. I'm just telling you.
So Ezekiel Fox is going to take it, and he makes a nice move, and he's got the sideline. Does he have a seal to the edge? Shot out of a cannon. Ezekiel Fox, touchdown. Tackle, and then a move on the outside, and look out. Blockers out in front. It's a foot race. Down the sideline, Demetrius Roten, all the way to the 1, towards the end zone. As
That's Lowry. And they're going to run the jet sweep coming around right side, and positive yardage for O'Toole. Still on his feet at the 20. O'Toole cutting inside to the end zone. Touchdown.
Number 5'6", a buck 24. He's out there against the 6'6" Watson. Here's Lewis again. Still loose. Nobody gonna stop him. There's a ton of room, and he breaks through it to the house. It's Lewis's second house call in the opening quarter.
they have to do it over again, and so Volcano Vista, they do this. It's a reverse or a fake reverse. That's a fake reverse, and there's some room on the outside. A cut, a missed tackle, a cut to the outside. Look out, shot out of a cannon. How did he escape? All the way is Flores. Touchdown.
Hey, that was shades of...
Jamal, man, this beat is crazy.
We are back here on the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Coletti, joined by Ed Nunez. Thanks to Steve Davis for joining us here in the first segment. Steve used to be the full-time co-host with both of us, but now he kind of picks and chooses Ed when he wants to come on, and we're not going to say no.
No,
right?
we can understand that. He's a busy guy. He's got a meeting now, so always good to get his insight, though, and don't call him a Clovis homer. We know better than that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Former Clovis star, no less, but we also have Alden Iowani doing a great job, and he's keeping us busy. We're keeping him busy. Let's take a look at some of the highlights. We had 3 good games here. We had some more than that, but 3 intriguing games, I should say. This one turned out to be very good, as it was Volcano Vista against Cleveland.
Here, hold on, just carry it out. All right, let's do Sandia La Cueva.
We're going to do La Cueva Sandia first. So I guess we're going to build up to the Cleveland Volcano game, but here you had La Cueva against Sandia. Ordinarily a very good rivalry game, but La Cueva is just very, very strong, and when you got Connor O'Toole doing things like that, they're tough.
Jet sweep, and there's Camacho, who's been one of their best players.
And you don't see Connor O'Toole on the jet sweeps very often, so they've developed that play, and that's making him even more dangerous.
Look at that run up the middle. I mean, they really put it on Sandia.
Yeah, so it was 17-0 on the touchdown. That made it 24-0, and you know, these guys, and there's O'Toole just putting on a move, and you know, I like this guy. I've liked him all season long, including last year, but man, he's developed into the go-to guy for their team.
Long strider, really can get in the secondary and make some moves on you after the catch. Look.
And look, then he cuts right down the middle and shows off the speed.
Yeah, he sure does have it. Almost got caught at the end, but great run there by O'Toole.
Yeah, so Connor O'Toole made it 38-3, and then Sandia, not a team that's going to give up under Coach Barker as they would score a touchdown. But, you know, look at this. Just too much offense for La Cueva.
Yeah, there's no stopping that machine.
Yeah, a machine is right. Let's look now at another intriguing game. And the game that we were talking about with Steve Davis, Manzano, El Dorado. We'll take a look at that game first here. And both of you guys were saying, and I agree, that the score was a little bit deceiving because Manzano, with those beautiful, easy-to-read numerals on their jerseys, they came out the aggressors. And, you know, one of the things about Manzano, their defense, they kind of remind me of La Cueva a few years ago. Defense, 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 but their offense slow to develop, and they've developed each and every week. When I say slow, they were behind the defense, and now they're catching up.
You're right, and they've got some Erickson, a receiver, also Jack Blankenship and Xavier Ivy-Sod, of course, carries the heavy load for the rushing attack. Dakota Powell has played better. I think that's Blankenship there.
Yeah, that's Blankenship. And Blankenship, another one of those guys, you see the Bell who runs it up the middle and, you know, makes nice catches. And, you know, that was a nice catch there by El Dorado, but at that point it was 26-0.
Not much you can do, and, you know, try to get back in the game. Charlie Dotson's group never quits, but it's hard.
Yeah, and Manzano, all of a sudden the offense starting to keep pounding on you, and, you know, they don't have Jordan Bird. They do have Ivy-Sod, who has run a quarterback like Bird did. He's also been the running back, the Wildcat, and, you know, hey, when you got a run back like this, it's not your night if you're El Dorado.
No, absolutely not. And, you know, they did try to make a game of it, but look at it now, 40-7. And, yeah, that game was over early, and there's another touchdown by the Monarchs.
And the Monarchs just running their offense. And, you know, they can run and pass. That's one of the things that a lot of people don't give them credit for, and they've gotten much better at it, the versatility.
No doubt, no doubt. And they do have weapons. There's no question. There's a safety there, I believe. But definitely have played better the second. I'm very impressed. Think about it. If they don't lose to La Cueva, I think they're undefeated in the second half, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's been a good run for them. And
going to take a safety there, right?
Yeah, you don't see that very often, but they took the safety to make it 23, and then here was a touchdown pass. So El Dorado trying to mount a comeback. Final was 47-30 in this one. That was Thursday Night Football. Now the big one, which turned out to be pretty big, and it was Volcano Vista and Rio Rancho, not Volcano Vista and Cleveland. I got confused also. I was going to get all pumped about Volcano Vista and Cleveland. This was a great game, Ed.
Isaiah Chavez has been playing so well for Rio Rancho. Touchdown pass there, but there's Deathridge, and how good has he been?
Yeah, I was mentioning that I was watching that Artesia Goddard game. I also was half watching this game. And this was a very, very close game.
Oh, look at that strike.
Yeah, Deathridge can put it right on the money, and Rio Rancho, you know, they can come right back at you. And I almost don't recognize that it's Rio Rancho because look at the uniforms.
The line has not been as big as it has been in the past, but Rio Rancho head coach David Howes always has them ready for district. They play very well.
Volcano Vista looking a little bit like Siebel on the reverse on the kickoff, and what a return this was. That was just individual effort. He was dead to rights and ends up going down the sideline for a score.
A lot of that on his own, really. I think he broke a couple tackles there. Great run. Great run back.
Absolutely. So it was 20-20, and this is where things started going back and forth. Crowd got everything they wanted out of this game, and oh, by the way, this was just the second quarter, Ed.
Yeah, a lot of highlights to put in the first half. There was great play there, great execution and great design.
So it was a score fest in the early going of this game as both teams just giving each other their best shot, and it was 28-20, and then Volcano Vista started to mount their rally, and it would be a touchdown there. And I mean, I was very impressed by Volcano Vista's. You know, you go into Rio Rancho, a tough place to play. I don't care if Rio Rancho is good, if they're a champion, no matter what the season, that's a tough place to play.
Absolutely, no question about it. What a great kickoff return there. So that's 2-1 game, I believe, right?
Right. Well, he was just, he got down to the one. He was just shy of the pylon. So, but yeah, what a run. And look at those moves.
return was set up nicely. Good blocks down the road. Nice block there by one of the Rio Rancho players. And good effort
yeah,
by
Blaine
the
Smith
player.
finally brought him down, and you needed the speed of Blaine Smith to be the guy to bring him down. And then look at that throw over the middle, and it was a catch. And, you know, this was just athletic play after athletic play by the quarterbacks, the receivers, you name it. Everyone was making plays in this game. Look at that, throwing up for grabs, and Volcano Vista with a big, big touchdown. It was 35-all, and then a floater into the end zone, and that was incomplete, and there was a field goal, and that was good. And then it would be the next field goal, which would just miss wide to the left, and that was the end of the game.
That's the one that we thought was good, but it wasn't. So, yeah, that was so close.
Yeah, and you saw how close it was on that replay. Well, let's talk now about the 6A and 5A standings. We'll go 5A first, Alden, if we can kind of backtrack here. I put them out of order because I just added the 5A because there's some intriguing matchups here. We'll go 5A District 2 if we can, and here we come up on the screen. Look at Del Norte. They're 3-6, but every year we talk about Bruce Bankley's team, and once it comes to district, they're almost unbeatable, and it doesn't matter what district they're in.
You know what he said before the year? That he thought that it was going to be their best team. And they started out slow, but you mentioned this last week, they're 2-0 district.
Yeah, absolutely. So all they have to do is win a game, and they are district champs. Let's now look at District 4 in 5A. And look at this. This is exciting. 2-0 Goddard, Artesia, and Roswell 1-1. And, of course, it is Goddard taking on Roswell this week.
You know, and I wanted to say this. I've been covering 5A for Enchantment Sports, and I talked to Goddard head coach Chris White twice already. I expect to talk to him again before the season's over. Real laid-back guy. You know, I even said, Coach, what's the hype and the buzz for the the Artesia game? Well, and that in that Texas drawl, we're really not worried and concerned about that. We just play the games.
Right.
So really enjoyed talking to him, and another big game for Goddard against Roswell this weekend.
And District 5 will put up because the locally known matchup, which is coming up this week, the 2-0 teams going at it, Las Lunas and Belen.
You know what, actually I'm going to cover that game on Saturday. So this again, it came down to the last game of the year for the district championship between Las Lunas and Belen. And how big of a game do you think that is? Valencia and Valley, Valencia 0-2 in the district, but 6-3 overall. Valley's got a winning record as well. But I thought that they would compete a little bit better in that district, and so far they haven't been able to do that.
So now let's go to 6A, District 1 and 6A. You got Cleveland 4-0, Volcano and Rio Rancho 3-1. Rio Rancho taking on Cleveland with an opportunity to give Cleveland a loss.
Well, again,
that's a rivalry game, so it can go either way, and it always usually does.
Again, no Dorian Lewis, so we'll see how that goes for the Cleveland Storm the rest of the year.
And in District 2 now, we will see what happens here in District 2. La Cueva. They go to Clovis. Clovis, probably a pretty huge underdog, but it's Clovis.
And they've been playing better. So, yes, they might be
and
underdogs.
And it's at Clovis.
Right.
So, at Clovis, it's almost like, going to Duke or going to the Pit where you get 10 extra points. You go to Clovis, that's probably worth a touchdown, right?
At least.
So, we'll see what happens there. And District 3. We'll look at District 3 here, and it's Centennial, 5-0, so they take the district. It's Mayfield, it's Hobbs, Las Cruces, Carlsbad. Who will make it in?
Then I guess we're going to unwind some of that on the seeding and selection show. So, yeah, look at that log jam there. We said that before the year that it was going to be like that, though, and Las Cruces all of a sudden starting to play better. Carlsbad's dropped a little bit. So, yeah, some good football still left to be played.
And we still have a good amount of show to be played here. It's the Sports Desk. We'll take a break, come right back on Proview Network's Comcast 26.
High school sports are back. The 2018-19 season kicks off, and you could watch every Proview Network broadcast live on the NFHS network. Every moment, from every game, from every sport, including all NMAA state championships. Get your highly discounted monthly pass now. Go to ProviewNetworks.com and sign up. Watch New Mexico's best.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
It's hard for a child to learn when they're hungry or being abused at home. Let's stop blaming teachers for problems they didn't create. I'm Steve Pierce. My mom loved teaching, but now Santa Fe asks teachers to be truant officers or social workers. Let our teachers teach, fix our broken test system, and put more money into classrooms. Good teachers don't give up on their kids. As governor, I will not give up on our teachers.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rawlings, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
We're back here on the Sports Desk. Scott Galletti along with Ed Nunez, Alden Iowani, our fine director. The crew's all here. Thanks to Steve Davis as well. Let's go right to it. The schedule's here. Week 11, the final week of the football season. And we also have some playoff schedules as well. But we've got Thursday games. West Mesa at Trisco, Grants at St. Pius. And how about Grants? A surprise win last week, Ed. And Cibola, Volcano Vista, that is always a battle when those two teams get together. That one would be a fun one to watch. Rio Rancho, Cleveland, Del Norte, Los Alamos, Sandia, El Dorado. You and I will both be doing that. You on ProView, me on ESPN Radio 101.7 The Team, and La Cueva at Clovis.
Yeah, a great schedule of games. And you mentioned Cibola, that team still intrigues me. They had the tough middle of the road season, a couple of losses, very close. I still think Roderick Williams, the head coach over there, is a great guy and does a great job. See what happens against Volcano Vista.
Other games on Saturday in the regular season, on Friday, in the regular season schedule. Las Lunas, Belen, Valencia Valley at Milne, Ruidoso, Moriarty, Taos, Bernalillo, and now let's go to the remainder of the games as you got Laguna, Acoma, Hope Christian, Albuquerque, High, Manzano, Miamura, Highland at Milne, and Shiprock, Rio Grande. That's that community. Rio Grande trying to get another win.
And that's, I think, a decent chance for them to get one right there. They've got one win, and so we'll see if the Ravens can pull out 2 wins.
Take a look now at 6-man, the semifinals. You got number 4 Springer, Maxwell at number 1 Animas, and Carrizozo at number 2 Elida. That will be a Saturday game, so Friday and Saturday matchups.
Back in the day, man, the Animas Panthers were a power. Or a powerhouse.
Well, they're trying to get right back to where they were because they're number 1 now.
Yeah.
So let's go to 8-man football. You got the first round. You got Alamo Navajo at Manal, a rare Thursday night game, I should say, at 7 o'clock. Then Friday, you got Pine Hill, number 5 Melrose at 6. And Saturday, both games at 1 o'clock. Mesilla Valley Christian hosting Dora. Rama is at number 6 Logan.
You said this before we came back on. I can't believe they're already into semifinals here.
Yeah, this is the first round there, but it was the semifinals in 6-man. But But still, I can't believe that they're in the first round. And also in the first round right here, you got one Friday and the rest are on Saturday, 2A games. Loving at Jowl. Got to meet the Jowl coach in our pregame festivities at the coaches clinic. So I know those guys are ready to go. And you got Texaco hosting along with Newcomb, Escalante. Should be a good playoffs here.
Very much so. Should be very good.
Let's go now to top performers from last week. And mind you, some of these aren't full stats, but we're going through it anyway. Zach Taylor of Aztec, the quarterback, 2,163 yards. Lucero from Valencia, 1961. That was only after 7, so not including last week's game. And you got Mason Caperton from Eunice. Marcus Steele making the list this week from Cibola, 1,880 yards. How about 27 touchdowns?
So only 5 interceptions. Great year for Marcus Steele.
And Balazan from West Las Vegas still on the list, 1,868, 23 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I believe that's a game short, so he might even be higher than that.
Yeah, he's had a great year.
Let's go now to the running backs. And the running backs, pretty much the same. Of course, Dorian Lewis is out, top rusher in the Metro. We don't have his numbers. Diego Casillas, 253 carries, 1,582 yards. He should be the running back of the year just because of how many times he touches the ball. And, you know, that compares to Xavier Ivy-Sod, who has 226. We talk about him being a workhorse.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Casillas actually plays, and you could probably, he actually plays for Belen. So I just want to correct. That's okay. You know,
how did I mess that up? Okay, yeah, you're right. No, you know, you're right.
A lot of work on this, and I just,
he does play for Belen. I don't know how that happened, but
you work hard on these stats. Everybody needs to know that.
I think I inverted when I was looking at these things. I kind of hurriedly put these together. Thanks for the catch on that, Ed. So next week we'll change that because during the playoffs we'll continue to do this as long as they continue to update the stats. And wide receivers. 4 wide receivers. We have Valencia's Jaramillo still at the top, 1,166 yards. You got Bustamante from Artesia as he jumped into the list, 60 receptions, 741 yards. And you got Naz Robertson from La Cueva right behind him at 740 yards.
Yeah, there's some really good receivers in that company right there. So
and Padilla of Robertson has been on this list the entire time that we've been doing it.
We interviewed him for the NM OTC show earlier in the year, and I really enjoyed that with Antonio Padilla of Las Vegas Robertson.
Final coaches poll of the season for volleyball. And St. Mike's in 3A still number 1, Robertson, Santa Fe Indian, Navajo Prep, and Sandia Prep. They round out the top 5. Let's go to 4A now. And in 4A, you still got St. Pius. Hope Christian usurped Artesia as number 2.
Yeah, they've been down below, and they jump Artesia at number 2.
Let's go to 5A now. In 5A, no surprise, La Cueva at the top, Sandia, Las Cruces, Rio Rancho at number 4, and number 5 is Piedra Vista.
Rio Rancho, and I always mention Toby Manzanares, the head coach there. They're sneaking up the polls there at number 4.
We will take a break, and we've got one more segment. We'll talk a little bit of the Lobos here. Coming out of the break, this is the Sports Desk on ProView, Comcast 26, and on Facebook Live.
Is this my car? State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
Ah!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at Proview Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
This is Coach Borrego of the Charlotte Hornets. Hello to all you parents out there in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I want to congratulate 38 years for the AYBL. You guys are doing a great job. You've shaped a lot of lives, young men and women, and you'll continue to do that. Parents, get involved, sign your kid up. It's a great program. It helped shape who I am today, helped shape me as a basketball player, as a coach. So get out there, sign them up. Have a great season. Good luck to everybody.
Dreamstyle Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dreamstyle Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dreamstyle Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club, or dreamstyleremodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
Talk to State Farm agent Greg Shamus today.
The Barley Room, proud sponsor of Proview Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you.
We are back here on the Sports Desk, live on Proview Comcast 26 on Facebook Live. You can also see us later. They will post it on YouTube. So lots of exposure for us and for Proview, of course. I'm Scott Galletti along with Ed Nunez. Alden Iowani doing a great job. Our thanks to Steve Davis for joining us in the first segment. We'll jump right into it. Ed, your favorite subject, the Lobos, anything Lobos, as we try to get the Lobos in. Basketball right around the corner, so we'll be doing that during basketball as well. But tough game with a capital T in Logan, Utah, as it was 61-19. And, you know, it could have been worse, as it was Utah State. Coach Wells, who twice coached at UNM, has a lot of respect for the university. His team had the ball on the 10, the 11, and the 1, and opted to kick field goals rather than to try to score a touchdown, even though they had backups in. And in fact, when they had it on the 1, I was surprised. Their crowd booed them for kicking the field goal.
Well, you know, you mentioned it was a tough game, and it was. They're in a free fall, the Lobos are right now, and Lobo head coach Bob Davies said this in the paper. They're probably going to go back more to the run. Colton Gerhardt's this week's starter, and it was just a couple weeks ago that Sherion Jones had played very well at UNLV, throwing darts. They looked really good. Looked like that passing attack was really going to incorporate with the triple option. Not anymore. So everything, Coach Davies said this, everything's up for grabs, everything's in question, and I would think, including the state of the coaching staff. I'm sure that he's looking at his assistants and, you know, looking at the whole thing.
Right.
Because when you lose games successive big losses like that, now you've got San Diego State and former UNM head coach Rocky Long coming to town this Saturday night at 8:15, so it doesn't get any easier.
Well, here's where the triple option comes in. They need deception because, look, Tyrone Owens had 12 carries and only 38 yards. If he can't run, well, you got to wonder who can, because he's by far their best running back.
Well, here's my other point.
They shut him down.
Well, you know, the chunk yardage they got back in the day at the triple options heights or whatever with Jarrell Presley and Terrion Gibson, those plays have gone by. You know, they don't get those chunk yardage plays anymore. And so, you know, the conference really adjusted, and they've had a hard time getting the edge. So, you know, Coach Davey wanted to go to Colton Gerhardt this weekend, and we'll see how he performs. He's going away from Jones, which Jones He doesn't want to throw 3 interceptions. He said that in the paper. I'm not comfortable with us losing by throwing the ball all over the parking lot. So he's going to go back to what he thinks they know best, and we'll see.
The bad news, and arguably both teams called off the Dogs in this situation, but Utah State, 704 total yards. They had less than 200 yards in the second half. They had almost 500 yards. Jordan Love, 448. That was all in the first half.
Yeah.
I mean, that was all in the first half. He didn't throw in the second half. He played a series, did not throw a pass in the second half. So that was all his yards. But Utah State didn't have a lot. But their yardage, 704, was only about 18 off of Oregon when they destroyed the Lobos under Mike Loxley.
I remember that game, 66-16, 66-7.
I think it was 77 or 72 to nothing, actually.
Okay.
It was either 72 or 77. I don't remember the final score. It was nothing.
Yeah.
Lobos missed a couple of field goals in that game that could have gotten them points. But the thing is, Utah State did it all with offense, whereas Oregon, that particular game, had at least 2, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 kick returns for touchdowns. And it was pretty scary. Let's look at the next upcoming game. Rocky Long coming to town. And that's always a tough return. I understand they had defensive players out against Nevada. I don't know what the whole dynamic was, but they end up losing at Nevada. So they're 6-2 and 3-1. The Lobos 3-5 and 1-3. And you look at San Diego State. They're only averaging 21 points, and they're giving up 19. The Lobos' average went down from 38 a couple of weeks ago. They're at 31.8 now, but their defensive average has gone up to 35.6.
Well, Coach Long's going to come in with the 5-2-4, 3-3-5, whatever it is he plays, and they do it well. And, there's still I remember when he went to San Diego State, and it pained me as a former Lobo fan. I remember when Rocky Long, playing in small man's tournaments, Rocky Long played for Albuquerque Tire. Basketball, I'm talking about. Rocky Long was a heck of a basketball player as well.
Right.
A heck of a rebounder.
Right. Yeah.
So, there's a lot of memories of him here as the coach. My son and I saw some old film when Dontrell Moore played here, Hank Baskett, and Cole McCamey. And the stands were full. So it can happen again. We certainly hope better days are ahead for Lobo football. And they have to win one of these 3 games you mentioned. The Air Force and Wyoming are winnable games, but the way they're playing now, they couldn't beat anybody right now.
I would think that Air Force and Wyoming should be wins because I think the Lobos have more talent and athleticism. But the 2 games in question, of course, and they already lost to Utah State, which earlier in the year I picked that as the winnable game, and they ended up getting beaten bad. But San Diego State, probably the most beatable because I see no chance in them beating or even being close against Boise State.
Well,
that's a passing team, and last time I checked, this team not very good against the pass.
My son and I had this discussion the other day, and God bless my son. He's a diehard fan, diehard. He'll be out there Saturday night. I guarantee it. And he said that we've had the UNM has had problems recruiting good cornerbacks and good back, good secondary. So you're right. Boise State would be tough. I don't think San Diego State is any easier, but maybe because they run better. They run more.
Their defense is tough. That's going to be the toughest thing. But as far as stopping them, it's not going to be as tough, I don't think, as stopping Utah State or even Boise State because they won't go to the air that much. Rocky's a pound and ground kind of guy.
No, you're right. So, you know what? I still have hope, glimmers of hope that they can get to those 6 wins and get to a bowl.
And very quickly, people were talking about 16,000 at Utah State. That's 33% of their population right now. And their population's grown about 10,000 from about 5 years ago. And the Lobos, if you take 18,000, that's 2% of the population. Get out to these games. The kids need you. They work hard. And, the one thing that this team never will do is give up.
No, you're right, and that's a good point.
And that's on the players. The players will not give up.
No, they won't, and I expect them to come out. Colton Gerhardt's ready to go. He's been itching to go since he sprained that ankle. So I'm kind of anxious to see how he performs.
So that will do it for us. Thanks, Ed. We'll do it again next week. Alden Iowani, our fine director, and Steve Davis for everyone involved. I'm Scott Galletti. You've been watching the Sports Desk on Proview Networks.